So unless you've been living under a rock, you know about RTIC products. They're basically a direct competitor of Yeti. They make the roto-molded coolers, the soft-sided coolers, the tumblers, the ramblers, basically the stainless steel insulated cups, and all for about 50% of what Yeti charges for them. So they recently got into the gun case making game, and they have come out with 5 different sizes, and they're mostly all pistols and then one really long rifle case. So it comes in like a 14, a 16, an 18, a 22 inch, and a 53 inch. So I got the 53 inch. I was curious about it. It was $149. So it was significantly cheaper by about $100 from the comparable Pelican case, which is around $240. You can get it on Amazon Prime for around that, and it's about the same interior and exterior dimensions. So it would be the 1750 Pelican case. I wanted to see if they were going to live up to their same type of quality as their roto-molded coolers are, because pretty close to Yeti products. I did buy Yeti back in the day when they gave a pretty decent discount, and I've been really happy with it. But when RTIC came out and started charging 50% less for what appeared to be the same damn cooler, I started buying RTIC stuff, and I've been really happy with them. So I would say they're on par, if not the same as Yeti. There are some Yeti products that are a little bit better quality, but for the money, I'm going RTIC every time. So I was hoping that it would be kind of a similar experience with this gun case, and I'm going to review that 53 inch long one, and I brought it to a pretty big shooting competition, the Wilsons, over in Little Rock, and pounded on it for about a week, and I cut the foam out for my service rifle, and I checked it out. So without further ado, I'll start going side-by-side comparisons with a Pelican case, which in my opinion is the premier manufacturer in this game, and next to an RTIC, and see how they stack up. So here you have the two products side by side, and you'll notice that there's really not apparently a very big difference in the two. Obviously, other than the size, this Pelican case is the 1720, so it's a little smaller, but just for comparison, I wanted to put these next to each other and compare features. All right, the first thing I want to compare is the hinge structure, and here you see on the Pelican and then on the RTIC, it's a very similar design. They use a steel bar that goes through the middle of the hinge, and it's basically very similar. A very similar construction with that. The next thing I want to go over is the handles, and you'll see here on the Pelican, this is your standard handle, and it actually flips down and up, and then there's one on the end, and on the Pelican there's one on the wheel side as well. On the RTIC there is not one on the wheel side. The main carry handle does not lock into place like the Pelican does, and it only goes to about a little past 90 degrees. So the Pelican actually goes both ways, and this one locks up. Now, similar on the end here, only about 90 degrees straight out and down. The handles are actually more ergonomic on the RTIC. There's this rubberized textured grip here that fits nice in the hand, and on the Pelican it's a much more minimalist grip. It's just that polymer grip handle, and that's the same on the main carry handle portion. And so I'm going to give that edge to the RTIC a little bit. It feels a little better in the hand. The durability of the construction on the Pelican seems as though it's a little more sturdy. Over here on the RTIC, and I can actually push down and in a little bit. Now they're both waterproof, And when I push down on that case, there's no air hissing coming out, and it's not tripping the relief valve, which is also on both products. But the Pelican overall feels like a sturdier material. It does not give in these areas like the RTIC does. All right, moving on to the next part are the wheels. There's your typical Pelican bearing wheels there, and then you have your RTIC versions, which have a little bit more tread on them, which I don't understand why you would put tread on it, but they're bigger, and that makes it a little easier to drag through gravel and whatnot. Now, as far as sturdiness goes, they both feel pretty identical and pretty sturdy, and I do like the bigger wheels on the RTIC just because, you know, if you're dragging it through sand and gravel, and it feels like it's just sliding and you're just dragging it on the case when you're dragging that Pelican. But you know, during the week I was actually pleasantly surprised that these wheels were kept it off the ground a little more, so I'm going to give that edge to the RTIC as well. All right, moving on to the hinges. The RTIC and the Pelican have very different construction when it comes to the hinges here, and the RTIC actually uses a spring-loaded mechanism that kind of keeps the latch in the closed position. So when you're latching it down, it's actually a spring that keeps this guy down. Overall, it's not bad, but it's not nearly as durable as these Pelican hinges. They use kind of a rotating, they use like a leverage point, which when it snaps down, kind of uses leverage to grab it, and they are quite a bit more substantial than the RTIC version. I'd say for durability, these hinges right here are significantly stronger. The next thing I want to point out are the padlock holes where you can actually lock these cases, and you can see just from looking at them that the Pelican has like a metal sleeve that goes around it, and the RTIC does not. Also, and I noticed this was a big problem during my week long competition with it, is that the diameter is quite a bit larger than in the RTIC. I couldn't fit a padlock into this guy, mostly because of the angle and the size of the hole. The diameter of the hole wasn't big enough. So points for the Pelican here. Not only does it have this metal sleeve that would, you know, help prevent anyway you from tearing a lock off or cutting it off, it's just not big enough or in the right position for a standard padlock to go into. So this is a big win for the Pelican case. All right, moving on into the interior of these cases, and first thing you'll probably notice here is that kind of like the handles of this RTIC, this lid only opens, you know, to just above 90 degrees, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. The Pelican case, it opens completely flat all the way. So whether or not you want to save you have some space issues and you don't want to open it all the way, I guess this could be a win for you. I don't really see any positive or negatives either way, although I would like probably to be able to open the case all the way if I really wanted to, and I can't really tell you why. I just have a feeling that it might be useful at some point for some reason. So I would like the option on this, but it is not there. The next thing about the interior is that you'll see the foam is quite different on the Pelican versus the RTIC. The RTIC has a very, very soft and pliable foam that is akin to like a pluck and peel that you find on most cases. Now this is not a pluck and peel. It's just a closed cell like foam system, and it comes in a 3-layer system. So you get 1, 2, 3 layers. And this is more of a, and I cut this middle layer out for a rifle, but this is one of those cases where you can place your weapon into the case, close a lid, and it kind of just pushes down into the foam. So you don't even really have to cut it if you don't want to. It's that soft. Now, looking over here at the Pelican case, and it's a real high density, like strong foam that you can barely move if you're pushing down on it. It's a pretty substantially stronger and thicker type of foam that you really have to cut out in order to be able to use it at all. So, for convenience, if you want to put a bunch of different types of rifles and you don't want to cut anything out for specifically this case, then this may be a way to go. If you are wanting to put nothing but one AR in here or whatever you want to put in, and you are very specific with what this case is, then you can go with the Pelican type of foam, and you can buy these on Amazon now for a pretty good deal. I think I got this entire foam insert for this Pelican case for around 45 bucks on Amazon, and that used to be real prohibitive to replace your foam in any of these cases. I want to say it was like 150 bucks at one point to replace this foam in these Pelican cases, but they've come down quite a bit. So there you have it, guys. Those are the differences between the RTIC and the Pelican case. And in my opinion, the Pelican case is still king of the hill. It's a more substantial case. It's stronger. There's a couple features that I like a little more about it. There's a couple features I like a little less too. The wheels and the handles I like on the RTIC a little more. But the overall construction and the solidity of the case itself are clearly Pelican. That being said, Pelican builds these cases for military purposes. I mean, they've got to go down range and get strapped to equipment and get tossed around and basically beat on, and they hold up pretty well. This RTIC version, I don't think it'll hold up as much as a Pelican will. Now, for civilian purposes, for a hunting rifle, or if you're just tooling around the range, with your buddies and stuff, and you want to protect your rifles or your pistols that you want to stick in there, I think it's perfect, especially for the price point of $149. Now, that being said, while I was doing research for this video, I did look up the current prices for these RTIC cases, and that 53-inch case is $209 now. So, in my opinion, they're getting a little away from what made them so successful, because I can get the comparable Pelican case, which is a 1750, same size, for 244 bucks. There's no way that I'm not going to pay an extra 35 bucks and not get the Pelican case. It's a no-brainer. 149 bucks, you're talking about a $100 difference there, and for civilians, I think that's a good price point to be, and I think it'll hold up like you would like it to for your purposes. So I hope you guys like this review. If you have any more questions or something I didn't cover, let me know in the comments, and I'll get to you if I can. Appreciate it.